Bowling is back from Wii Sports and plays nice and similarly in Nintendo Switch Sports for the most part. The aim of the game is of course to get the most points by knocking down pins with strikes and spares, and there is always a way to get better at the game and get consistent strikes. So we're going to have a look at some tips and tricks to get better, get those strikes in, control your ball better, and get you high up in the pro leagues. The motion controls for bowling are pretty simple overall. Hold the Joy-Con facing up in front of your chest, press the ZR button, retract your arm, and perform a smooth underhand arc with a little bit of elbow flex at the end. This is going to throw the ball, and as long as you don't turn your wrists, it will go straight because the spin on the ball is determined by that Joy-Con position. But as you throw the ball and extend your arm, you can twist the Joy-Con left or right with your wrist. This will apply curve to the ball, or what is known as a hook shot in the game. It doesn't matter if you swing your arm across your body like in Wii Sports, that doesn't really affect the direction of the ball properly. What matters in Nintendo Switch Sports is the angle to which the Joy-Con is turned during the swing. That is what applies curvature to the ball. This can be used effectively to avoid obstacles, get strikes, and overcome any natural curve in your own throw. However, you will notice that even if you throw the ball completely straight, there may be a very slight curve on the ball. This is the natural camber of the lane. Like in real bowling, the lane isn't perfectly flat like it looks, and creates a little sense of realism here. For the most part, this won't be enough to affect your bowl, and since the camber doesn't change at all between lanes, learning how it functions with your own throw is key to replicating strikes time after time. The velocity with which you throw the bowling ball is honestly very important. There is a speed cap, and absolutely lobbing the ball will get it to its highest speed. A good throw in my opinion though is not top speed, but is controlled with a smooth, fast arc with a little bit more speed when you bend your elbow. This gets the ball to roll quickly and smoothly towards the pins with enough force behind it to knock the pins far enough into each other to create optimal strike scenarios. If you throw slower, you sort of get this, or this. These bowls here do not create enough force to knock the pins back into each other properly and makes getting strikes harder, but makes getting a split easier. A split is where you have non-adjacent pins left at the end of the first throw of your frame. Depending on the location of the pins, depends on the exact strategy you need to employ to try and get the spare, but essentially what you're trying to do is aim for the side of one of the pins with enough force to knock it into the other pin. It does differ based on scenario, but if you can ping a pin across into another pin, you can get that spare and a little split conversion message comes up which grants extra points when you're playing online. Depending on how you swing your arm naturally, what sort of lane you're in, and whether you're bowling for splits, repositioning the avatar is important. Luckily, it is super simple. Use the joysticks to strafe left and right, and use the D-pad or the Y and A buttons to turn your avatar in place. This is even more important in special bowling, as you can use this to get strikes and spares to navigate the obstacles that appear in front of you. You can also pinpoint where you want to go better with a first-person view, done by pressing the X button which looks down the lane. Just be mindful of the time in survival bowling when you're doing this online. Now we've seen natural curves, hook shots, and speed, so let's look at my strike method, how I have found strikes to come most consistently to me. Now I start with that first person look down the lane, go to the middle of the lane, the middle arrow right there, and then I like to go slightly right, and then bowl a straight throw. The natural camber of the lane combined with my own natural curve when I bowl results in a strike more often than not. The slight adjustments, like going right, are going to be a little bit different for you, possibly because of your own natural throw arc, but usually the ball ends up just to the side of the middle pin, which creates enough knockback to smack everything else down. Using this method, I've been able to get consistent strikes a lot of the time, which is absolutely fantastic, especially for the online mode, where you get extra points for 1, 3, and 5 strikes, as well as knocking down 100, 200, and 300 pins. There is a specific place that is best to practice this, but I'll go into that in just a moment. So here's a fun one for you. Survival bowling is obviously great, and one of the best parts of Nintendo Switch Sports in my opinion, but when you get up there in rank, you are starting to get knocked out earlier because you are against a higher caliber of opponent. It happens, it's nothing to be concerned about, and in order to get points to go up in the ranks, all you need to do is pass the first knockout round. That counts as a victory in the game, which is proven by the ranking bonus you receive for points in the second round onwards. Since winning games gets you points towards Pro League, this means that you get points towards getting higher leagues from there. Naturally, the better you place, the higher your rank goes, because you get more points. But the point is, you only need to pass that first knockout round. Now, people who quit games when they're losing suck. Don't be one of them. Obviously, there's more to this tip than that, but it's just a really important thing to note. Now, related to bowling, if you fluff a throw early, you might realise you're going to go down in an earlier round. In order to get the main menu up quicker, once you get to your first result screen, hammer the plus button and it skips the spectating part and gets you back into that main menu screen a lot quicker. This means you can get into your next game easier and try again. Finally, the best practice tip to get up there in the pro leagues is to practice your consistent strike method offline. Now, the reason we do this offline is because you can get the lanes up much quicker because there's much less loading time due to it not being online. You can practice quicker, you can get more frames in, and you can take those skills to survival bowling easier. The best part about this offline work is that as far as camber and motion goes, the lanes act exactly the same. That's both online and offline, so the transfer of skills is incredibly simple. So if you are trying to practice, get that consistent strike method down, go offline, practice as much as possible before coming online with it. And with that 9th tip, that wraps up this guide to bowling in Nintendo Switch Sports at launch. I think this sport is a heap of fun personally, it's in my top 3 sports, and it handles so similarly to the classic Wii sports with just a few minor differences, which I think is awesome and really nostalgic as well. Are you finding bowling fun in Nintendo Switch Sports? Let me know in the comments, and if you found that this has helped, hit like and subscribe for all of my other Switch Sports guides. Let me know if there's anything I've missed with bowling. I don't think I have, but if you found a more consistent strike setup, then please let me know and I'll pin your comment and, share the love around so we can do better in the pro leagues. Thank you to my patrons like Rain, I Love Waffles 1311 and Sick Hippie for supporting me through Patreon. I'm Master Trainer Peter, and I'll see you for the next guide.